All right. Hello, everyone. I have to apologize for being a couple minutes late tonight. It looks like I'm developing a bad habit here. The capital U at Unicity for the password had me a little confused. But on other notes, it's been a great evening for me, having talks with a lot of great people over in your part of the world. And so I'm excited to now spend a little more time listening and learning from our wonderful trainer, Winda. She is going to talk about a very important topic for all of us. Right? There might not be some of us that, like me, have not quite gotten to the point where we could say we're getting much older. I feel like I am, but some of you might ridicule me for thinking that. But even still, right? I have people very dear to me who are getting older, and all of us do. We all have those people in our lives, our grandparents, our parents, our uncles, aunts, who they're getting older and they're feeling the effects of that. And so Winda's going to be talking to us about the things we can do to help ourselves, to help those we love, be able to become healthier, feel better as they get older, rather than just accept the natural degradation. And so we're excited to hear from Winda, let her teach us. And then after, we'll talk a little bit more about some of the things that are up and coming this month and in the future. But until then, we'll give it over to Winda to start teaching us.
Okay, sure. Thank you, Sam. And good morning, everybody. I hope you are all healthy and safe and excited this morning. So I'm going to talk about why people getting older, we need to pay more attention to their health, to their wellness status, especially older here when you are start going 40 and then 70 and above. That's really important. So I suppose you are all be able to see the screen here. My screen. This is a process. Getting older is a process. And so far, I know no one has been able to defy aging. It's a process that affects our gene processing, our metabolism, our lifestyle, and it can be caused by many things. It can be affected by many factors. With the aging process itself, what we can do is to slowing it down. We cannot stop aging, but we can slow it down. And if we slow the aging process, we will have better quality of life. That's why it's important to stay healthy, to stay well while you are aging. And I hope you are who are now studying 40 years and above, you can age gracefully. Our body is pretty smart. The body itself has a mechanism that could defend aging. For example, the metabolism itself, they can regulate how our cells working, DNA processing, and DNA contains several informations or programs that will be able to reduce the effect of aging. We also have organs like our liver, our blood. It could help to detoxify toxins from our body, taking out all the bad stuff from our body. And we have nerve system. We have our brain that helps with response with stress. And this mechanism helps to get rid bad stuff from our body as well. And also inflammatory mechanism, the anti-inflammatory. When we are sick, when we have a pathogen going inside our body, our cells will break down, but the response of the inflammatory response, if it's working well, it will help us to regulate this pathogen, actually eliminate it, and makes us healthy. Another thing is working together with the DNA information, DNA program. We also have cell renewals. The cell makes up the tissue in our organs. So if there are several cells broken down, and it happens every day without we knowing it, our body will automatically replace with a new cell. However, as we age, the mechanism or the speed of the renewal itself is slowing down. So that's why many cells broken down, but we won't be able to replace it quickly. That's what makes us age. And the antioxidant defense that we have in our body, every day, we are surrounded by free radicals. Our cells is attacked by free radicals, by pathogen, bacteria, parasites, anything that we can can make us sick. So the body itself, it has a mechanism that could protect from all of those pathogens. So our body is pretty smart, and it is now up to us. How can we maintain all of this system, all of this mechanism to work well until we are old? Another thing with aging is a condition we call as sarcopenia. It is a condition that characterized by loss of skeletal muscle mass and its function. Maybe you have heard about muscle atrophy. Usually when older people, they are not able to move their limbs and they have troubles or difficulty with moving around. So it happens because they lose muscle. They don't have enough nutrients for their body to build up their muscle and also their bones. If you see in the graph here, starting at the age of 40, your body starts to break down. And the total muscle loss could be 8% up to 27% at the age of 65. And it just starts declining when you are getting older, 70, 80, 90, maybe you will be lucky to pass 100. The muscle loss itself, it could be slowed down, but it cannot be avoided. Other thing, besides the muscle mass loss, is the bone mass loss. The bone itself develops since we are born, but then for women, usually starting the age of 40 or when women have menopause, their bones will not develop anymore. Instead, they will lose the bone cells. They will lose the density. So that's why female is more prone to osteoporosis than male. But the same thing, starting the age of 60 years old, both male and female will experience decreasing bone mass. And the thing we call as senescence. Senescence means everything is deteriorating. Your bone mass, your muscles, and mostly all of our body cells. That's why the people who are older, they will have this kind of risk. First, they are more prone to disease. The chronic disease, usually for example, in Indonesia, the chronic disease that is common with older people are diabetes, hypertension, and hyperlipidemia. And then next, they won't be able to have better appetite, so they will be eating poorly. It is also common with older people to have lost teeth or maybe oral pain, so they have difficulty in chewing, cannot chew the food that is too hard, and that's why it's also reducing the intake of total food. Maybe some of them experience economic hardship or reduce social contact, maybe due to retirement, they stop from working and they live on their own. Many older people are living on their own as well and have less social contact than what they used to have. They are also on multiple medications. When you are old, especially when you are 70 or above, maybe you will need someone to take care or to remind you how to take the medication properly. Sometimes these people have Alzheimer's, they don't, or dementia, it's really common, and they don't know what sort of medicines they take. So improper medication leads them to worsen the condition. And then involuntary weight loss or gain is really common. People can lose more weight because they don't have good appetite anymore, or even gain weight. It's not because they eat more, but because their metabolism is slowing down, so the body will use less and less energy. May need assistance with the self-care as well, especially in people older than 80 years old. So these are the risks. So why it happens? It could be due to some of these things. Let's say people who are 70, 80, 90, their spouse, their family member passed away. They have struggled emotionally with the mourning, maybe disorientation. Like I said, dementia is really common with older people. Nocturia, they cannot go to the toilet by themselves. They will need help to move around, or they cannot hold it anymore. Have shopping difficulties, so they cannot easily buy things that they need. Unable to prepare their own meal, or doesn't have interest anymore for cooking. Some people, they live in solitude, they live alone, or prefer to stay in a retired home. And this is the biggest factor that impact this risk. It's the nutrient that they get. Sometimes they can eat properly, probably in proper amount. However, all of the organs in the body, the digestion system cannot process or synthesize the nutrients anymore. So probably they will eat as much as they need, but the nutrients cannot be absorbed perfectly by the body anymore. So that's why there will be a lack of nutrition, and the long term, they will be malnourished. It is really common, happen to older people. How about the requirement? As we get older, 50 years and above, we don't need as much calorie as we did, because we probably lack of movement, tend to stay more time at home, tend to be inactive or sedentary. For males, there will be a reduction about 150 kilocalories up to 70 years old, and above that, an extra reduction of 150 kilocalories a day. And for female, around 75 kilocalories per day. But liquid needs is still the same. So although you are getting older, this is also a problem. Older people usually forget to drink. So we need to help them, remind them to get better hydration. It's still the same amount, 2.1 liter and 2.6 up to 2.6 liters a day. And key nutrients. What do we need as we getting older? These are the 5 things that we need. First is calcium and vitamin D. Calcium and vitamin D, with the help of the sunlight, help with the bone density. So vitamin D work together with calcium so that the calcium can be easily absorbed by our bones with the help of sunlight as well. And then iron. Older people also need iron because iron is really helpful with the production of red blood cells. And then iron also good for immune system. Older people tend to have less iron intake. Maybe due to, for example, they won't be able to chew hard food anymore. Most meats are really hard to chew. So that's why they won't eat as much meat anymore. Or we can use a supplement, an iron supplement, to help to keep up with the needs. And vitamin B12. B12 is also a lot, can be get by a lot in products such as meat, dairy, poultry, eggs, and our body also produce some of the B12 vitamin. But certain health conditions lowering the production of B vitamins naturally in our body. And fluid and hydration is really important as well. Remember, our body, 80% of it consists of liquid water. So it is good that we have good hydration every day and help to remind them with drinking, taking liquids, probably from the food or drinks. Now, the summary, what to do as we are getting older. When you are 50, 60, 70, 80, or 90 years old, this is what you may need to do. Start from the age of 40, have less total fat, especially the saturated fat, because they are bad fat. Reduce the intake of sodium that usually you find in salt, table salt, and cholesterols. Have plenty of fiber. You can take lots of fruits and vegetables because they are rich in potassium, calcium, vitamin C, vitamin A, and also other kinds of vitamin and antioxidants, of course. It will help with reducing your risk of having blood pressure or hypertension, osteoporosis, any kinds of heart disease, diabetes, and other kinds of cancer disease. And have dairy products. If you are lactose intolerant, it's fine. You can omit dairy products. You can take other things like nuts and seeds. They are also good source of minerals and have good fat and also have good proteins as well. You also can take protein source food. If you are a vegan, you might need to supplement with other things, but if you could, always have high protein food whenever you can. Of course, less salt, less sodium, and watch out for the lack of appetite. This is really important. People with no appetite shall eat small amount of food, but it should be nutrient dense. I don't say that it has to be much food, but every small food that they eat must be nutritious. That's really important. Unicity helps with giving you some of the nutrients that you need, the key nutrients for older people. Calcium magnesium is one of the example of this supplement. It helps to prevent osteoporosis because it has calcium in it, a quite high dose of calcium, more than 500 milligrams, we need around 1,000 milligrams a day of calcium, magnesium, boron, mangan, and together with vitamin D, the CalMag complex helps with the bone, absorbs the calcium, all the minerals better. So vitamin D is like the key, the transport that can help calciums and all of these minerals be absorbed better by our bones. Osteoporosis, very common thing. It happens to everyone without we realizing it. So what you can do if you want to, you can check your bone density on a lab or in a hospital, and it happens quite often. Some people who are older usually have hip replacement or kneecaps replacement. It's really common procedure that's done by older people. Some of the fractures on the wrist usually because when you walk or when you fall, you will tend to hold it with your hands. So fractures happens a lot. And if you look at the numbers, it's amazing. It's really big numbers. 1.5 million happens annually. How does this CalMag work? It has the multi-action system. With all of those calcium, magnesium, mangan, boron, and vitamin D, it could help improving the absorption of those minerals into our bones. These minerals stay in our bones, increasing the density of bones and building the bone structure. Every day we can lose the bones, we can lose bone structure, we can lose bone cells, we can lose also the minerals. And CalMag can help to replace what's gone and increase the bioavailability of the calcium source. Bioavailability means how much can you absorb by your body, how much can be used by the body. Let's say you eat a food with 500 milligrams of calcium in it, but not all of this calcium can be absorbed 100% by our body. With CalMag, you will have better bioavailability. Other good things from Unicity that we have Bone Fortify. You can take either one if you want to have CalMag or Bone Fortify. I would suggest if you are older, like 60 and older, you might take CalMag. And if you are still a teenager growing up or you want to maintain your bone density, you can take Bone Fortify. The calcium in Bone Fortify is in this form of calcium citrate malate. And this is the most bioavailable, mean easiest one to digest, to absorb by our body. It has also contained several other vitamins that we would need daily. This type of vitamin, like vitamin C, is not fat soluble, it is water soluble, so we need to top up every day. We cannot keep it inside our fat cells in the body. With vitamin D and K, we still can keep some if we have more. And Bone Fortify contain all of these vitamins and minerals. If we look at the total calcium intake, this one I got it from the US. So actual intake on average is around around 600 milligrams a day. Some of the organization will report more, but I don't think it is true. The requirement on average is around 1,000 milligram. The National Osteoporosis Foundation and the National Institute of Health will suggest you to take more than 1,000. You can take more, of course. It's not, but what we need is around 1,000 to 1,200 milligrams a day. So we can follow the National Academy of Science, I guess, for the daily requirement of calcium. And this is how this calcium is used in our body. Let we say we can use it in our bone, we can use it for our skin, nails, hair. This is how calcium going around in the body. When we take some of this calcium, let's say we have around 1,000 milligrams, and then some of it can be absorbed by our intestine, and some of it will go out to, on our feces, and the other will go into our bloodstream in a plasma. The plasma itself, let's say we have several milligrams of vitamin C, some of them actually will go out with the liquid, with the fluid from our body, like our sweat and our urine. And some of them will be stored in the bones as well. If we don't have enough calciums in our plasma to be used around our body, the calcium storage in our bone will be taken out. If it happens in a long term, means that total calcium storage will decrease over time. The decrease of this mineral in our bones means our bones will have more holes in it. The density decrease as well. That's why we are at risk of osteoporosis. So make sure that you have enough minerals to store in your bones daily. Another product that is also awesome, an amazing one, is Enjuvenate. Enjuvenate contains several ingredients that help us with all of this function, our cognitive function. You see, older people tend to get dementia and also Alzheimer's. It helps with the blood flow, better blood circulation, better sleep, and prevent the muscle loss, and also helps with vitality. You still have stamina, you are stronger to do your daily activities. Some of these ingredients are L-glutamine, lacuna bean extract, and also maca. This maca powder helps especially with the cognitive ability. Some people who are forgetful, some people who have dementia might be benefited from taking Enjuvenate. Here is how we can mix and match all of the intakes of the supplements throughout the day. Older people don't need to go on diet, so they can eat meals because their portion is smaller than what we used to have. The morning, they can have a regular meal together with other supplements such as the fiber, because fiber is also good for the digestive system. It helps with the regular bowel movement and better absorption of the food, and also taking out the rubbish from our digestion system. And morning tea can take either Calmac or Bone Fortify with LC. Protein is also important. So muscle cells build up with protein. When we don't eat enough food, when we don't have good digestive system and we cannot absorb the nutrients properly, then we will need some of the additional protein intake. It is also very common for older people to take extra protein food throughout the day. And the afternoon can take LC base, also have high amount of protein, which is good. And the afternoon tea can have some light snacks together with chlorophyll powder, for example. In the evening, can have a regular meal, a warm meal. And before sleep, take Enjuvenate. Just right before you sleep, it will improve your sleeping. The common thing with older people also, they usually have insomnia or trouble sleeping, their sleeping time is not as long as the younger ones anymore. Usually, the um, the older we are, the less time of sleep we get throughout the night. So to sum up, apart from the supplements that we have, as we are getting older, we still need to be physically active. Eat plenty of fruits and vegetables, have some carbohydrate source food, especially the complex carbohydrates, have some dairy products because it's also a good source of minerals and protein and some healthy fats, have some meat, fish, all the good protein sources, and have small amount of food that are high in sugar and also fat. So these are the 6 things that we can do as we are getting older. And now, I want you to know that if you are getting older, doesn't mean that you are left behind with technology. So if any one of you doesn't have any social media, I will encourage you to download or to install one in your phone and learn one. You can choose either Facebook or Instagram, or maybe with the more sophisticated one like YouTube, you can be a vlogger, video blogger, or Twitter. Choose any and start to learn with how to use the social media. Last week, Colette Bell has taught us how to use the social media. And this one is an example, the social media that good can be posted on the Instagram, or maybe a good picture to put on your Twitter. I myself would prefer Instagram because it's easy. You just make a good picture, take any kinds of picture, and then share your story. And it's just as easy as uploading it. So I hope you learn also something from Colette and able to apply what she taught us already. Start with the something simple, just one social media apps to install if you haven't done any. So I guess that's all for today's, and maybe go back to Sam to continue. Thank you.
Right. Thank you, Winda. It is great to hear about that. There's so many things that throughout our entire lives we learn are very important as far as taking care of our health. And many of them just become more important as we get older, and some of them adapt. And so it's very helpful to understand how these things adapt so that we know which things to make a priority as our bodies change. I know that something recently that I've been working with or talking with my parents. And well, many of you know at least one of my parents, although I'm not sure how many of you have met my mom. But she is someone who's always been incredibly healthy. Both of them have. I mean, they've been using Unicity products since before I was born. But something that my mom has always struggled with is getting enough protein. And recently, that's become even more important for her because as she's getting older, her body needs more protein rather than less. And being able to use the Unicity products, as well as she's able to use some of the products that haven't launched yet, but that are coming out soon. And you'll be seeing those in the coming months. But she is definitely loving being able to use those to help her increase the amount of protein she gets and hit the goals she has. And so it's the little things like that, if it weren't for the solutions we have, life would be harder. And when life is difficult, usually we don't be consistent with it. We're generally not consistent. And so being able to make things easy makes it so that people are consistent. And when we have that consistency, well, that's where we see our lives improve. that's where we see our bodies change, our strength come back, our flexibility, all those benefits that we want. So this is great as always to learn. So it looks like we have some questions, or at least a couple that are coming in, and we're going to turn the time over to Winda to give us some minutes of going through and answering the questions that come in. As there are other ones that are in, she'll go through and we'll get as many as we have time for today. And then I just have a couple other, like I said, announcements that I want to share before we finish up this morning.
Yeah, sure. So I have a strong palpitation after taking Enjuvenate. So take it in empty stomach 1 hour before sleep. I'm not sure if anyone else has similar sensation when taking Enjuvenate, maybe due to the ingredients itself. But if you cannot take it on an empty stomach, you can try take the Enjuvenate just after you finish your meal. What is the nearest substitute of glucosamine IGF? Yeah, we don't have glucosamine IGF anymore. In Indonesia also, we don't have anymore. So can do joint mobility or cola flex, and can take together with bone fortify or calcium magnesium. So you can combine either one. How does dairy help with blood pressure? Dairy products such as milk contains also good fat. It's not always a bad fat. Contains some of the calciums that we need. People who are younger, it is suggested to take a skim milk product or reduced fat product. So we still have the goodness of the dairy products, but without so much fat on it. But still we have all the minerals like the calcium, the magnesium, the potassium, and of course these minerals can help with control of your blood pressure. It controls the blood vessels, how it dilates or it constricts. So it helps with the flexibility as well of the blood vessels. Unicity or Enjuvenate, is it better for cognition? I'm not sure about this one, but I think Unicity helps you with the focus when you work, when you do your daily routine, and it is not suggested to take before you sleep because it makes you alert and very excited. While Enjuvenate helps you with your sleep, so you can sleep better. So I think it's two different things that you can combine. You can take Unicity in the morning and Enjuvenate in the evening. What are Unicity supplements would you recommend for spine crack? Spine crack, you need to go and see the orthopedic, of course. Make sure that the spine doesn't affect any of or damage any of your nerve along the spine. And with the supplements, of course, you will need supplements that help to with the production of the synovial liquid in around the spine, around the bones, and also with the cartilage. So products such as joint mobility, CM flag or cola flag, that will be good to consume. Or if you have, I think there's a product from Unicity Thailand, it's called collagen. Can also take the collagen because it helps with the formation of the cartilage in our bones. Yeah, I think that's all.
Yeah, that is all. And I have to say for Magdalena, make sure I'm saying that right, that I remember the first time I used Enjuvenate, I was still in high school. And I remember asking my dad if I could use it. And he said no, which of course, being in high school made me want to use it even more. He said I didn't need it. I was too young. And so I took that, and I had the same reaction. I had the tingling all over, and it totally freaked me out because I was like, oh no, he told me not to take it. Now I'm using it. What's going to happen? Later on, I asked someone about it, and they said that there are some ingredients in Enjuvenate which can cause that in some people. Not everyone feels it as strongly. Some people feel it stronger than others. But some people actually really like that because it's kind of that sensation that they know this is working. And Enjuvenate it's a super powerful product. It packs a punch for our bodies. And as you get older, there are a lot of really awesome hormones that are helped produced through the use of that. But I just thought it was funny to, whenever I hear someone else being surprised or shocked by that tingling feeling, I have to say that I know how you feel. It was a little shocking to me. And so as you use it, be aware that, hey, that can happen. And definitely if you're recommending it to other people, give them a heads up so that they don't think that, hey, what's going on? But on that note, since Wenda was just talking about collagen, right? There are a few types of collagen or other similar supplements throughout Unicity's markets. And many of you in the Malaysia, Singapore, and Brunei markets received a notification today about upcoming looks at some of our Neigine products being discontinued. And as you hear this, some of you might be thinking, oh no, that can't, why would we discontinue those? Those are so great. And it's true, they are so great. But the exciting thing about this news is the reason for them being discontinued. I imagine that some of you have seen on Instagram or Facebook our Korean friends and partners posting things about the Neigine evolution. And this is the line of upgraded Neigine products that our science team has been working on. Some of you also might have watched the recent Apple event just a couple of days ago where they launched the brand new iPhone 12. And those are events that are always exciting to me. I love to see what innovations they come up with, but it's also something I love about Unicity. It's something that we actually have in common with Apple, is that when we produce a product, producing something that's great, that's amazing, isn't enough. We produce something amazing, and then our science team immediately gets to work on saying, all right, how can we make it better? How can we look at finding ways to improve this next year or in a couple of years? Because as technology improves, as science improves, as we improve, right, so should our products. And that's what's kept BioSlife C, or the original BioSlife, a 30-year-old product, still relevant and even more relevant than it was now 30 years later. And I'll soon on saying BIOS 7 is better than iPhone 7. And one thing's for sure is it will definitely do a lot more of improving your life than the iPhone 7. So on that note, I just wanted to share that. We're also excited about the Enjuvenate Plus launch that Claudia will be sharing with us next week. So it'll be an exciting event for Singapore and for a lot of these markets that can purchase the item through Singapore. But we'll be excited to hear about that. And I want to really express my appreciation for our product trainers that, like Wenda and Claudia, right, they do a lot of work to prepare for these presentations and a lot of work other than these. Right? This is a small part of the job that they perform. And I want to thank them for that hard work and also ask all of you to make sure that we're keeping them busy. Right? They're here because they really want to help. And the types of questions that you're able to ask on these talks are great, but they can have one-on-one conversations with you and really be able to dig into some details if that's something you're interested in. And so please don't feel any nerves or fear about reaching out and asking these questions, asking for a time to chat, because I know that they would love to do that. But on that note, I hope everyone has a great rest of their day. thank you once again, Winda, for your time today. And we'll be seeing everyone in the coming week, if not before. Good night from Utah, everyone.
Bye. Thank you.